Hi, my name is Fallon, and I'm a tutor with Chegg Tutors. I'm here today to talk to you about social learning theory. It was created by a man named Albert Bandura in the 1960s. Basically, what it says is that people learn by observing others. So, people look at other people. These people are called models because they're modeling a behavior that's being observed. And people learn from these models by looking at their behaviors and attitudes and then the outcomes of those behaviors and attitudes. The people that we observe are most often similar to us. So, for example, if I were going to observe somebody, according to this theory, I would be more likely to observe a female than I would be to observe a male because I'm female myself. So, this theory says that people learn by watching others. And in order to learn, this requires that the person who is learning pays attention to the person that they're observing, remembers the behavior that they've observed, has the ability to replicate the behavior, and has a motivation to act in the same way. So let me break that down for you with an example. Let's say that a little girl is watching her older sister. That is a pretty likely scenario because, again, they're both girls and they're closer in age and they come from the same family group. So they're pretty similar people. So this little girl is doing step one. So she's paying attention to the person she is observing, her sister. And as she's observing her sister cries and then gets a lollipop. So if later the little girl, the younger sister, remembers the behavior that she observed, so remembers watching her sister cry and then be rewarded for that behavior with a lollipop, she is going to have learned that behavior, particularly if she has the ability to replicate that behavior. So she has the ability to cry in order to get a lollipop, and she has a motivation to act the same way. So if she likes lollipops and she wants a lollipop, then she has the motivation to cry to get the lollipop. The crying is the observed behavior that she has now learned from her older sister. So, another part of this theory says that not all learning is acted upon. So, if somebody were, for example, to learn how to pick a lock, but then never picked a lock after that, that would be an example of learning that was never acted upon. Um, this particular theory has been used a lot to explain things like aggression or crime, delinquent behavior in youths, and other things like that. It's a really good way to explain how people learn what they do and the way that their environment and the people around them affect their behaviors and the behaviors that they learn. A lot of people have said that this theory is a good bridge between behaviorist, and cognitive learning theories because it encompasses attention, memory, and motivation. So it encompasses parts of each theory where each theory kind of might have fallen short in explaining how people learn and behave in the way that they do. And I'm going to end this with one last example for you. It's the picture that I have up here for you. Just a kind of funny little comic, but gives you a good idea of what's going on with the theory. So basically, to sum up the comic, two little kids, brother and sister, are yelling at each other. The parents come in and say, "Why are you screaming at each other? Because we raised you better than this. You know better than to yell at each other when you're fighting." I'm sure if you have a sibling, you know how this goes. And then the little boy and little girl say, "We hear you guys fighting and yelling at each other all the time, so we figured we could do the same thing." That's a great example of social learning theory. Kids, especially, are watching all the time and are really paying attention to what the adults in their lives are doing. So, if the kids were paying attention to their parents, so that's the first step, paying attention to the person that they're observing, remembering what they've observed, so they remember that that the parents were yelling at each other, were capable of yelling, so that's the third step, and had a motivation to act this way. So if they thought that this was a good way to handle the situation, that's a motivation when they get upset. they've now learned this behavior through their parents. So, if you have any other questions, feel free to get in touch with me or another Chegg tutor in the sociology section. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.